We're now joined by Mr. Shashank Srivastava from Maruti Suzuki India, and a topic that we can explore here is, what are the trends that we can see when we talk about the retail industry, which has already undergone such a transformation due to digitalization. And let's hear it from him, onto how's the EV sector placed when we talk about the retail aspect, especially looking at the Indian markets. Your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, so at the moment, the EV volumes not so much in the industry. Last year, we sold only about 21,000 cars, which is about 0.6, 0.7% of the overall volumes. This year, expectation is that in this financial year, about 50,000 odd EVs will be sold. So still a small volume. And because of that, on the retail side, for the manufacturers who are supplying EVs, what we find is that there are different formats appearing in retail. One is where you have ICE and EV vehicles together, so there's no real change, in CI. Then there is, and globally, Stellantis does it. It is done by other manufacturers, also like Ford. Then there are other aspects where you could have a separate EV tech corner, like a Hyundai or a Kia does that, or Renault does it. A third could be like pure EV showrooms. In some parts of the world, Mercedes-Benz, GM, and BMW do that. There are also such retail models like Tesla, which is like B2C, directly to the consumers without any middleman. You could have flagship stores, or you could have experience centers, or you could have something like a pure digital, like a Neo in China, which is all entirely based on cloud and having a pure end-to-end consumer experience across all aspects of EV buying. So I think the jury is still out there of which retail model will finally emerge. I think it's going to be a mix. You have an agency model, which Mercedes-Benz does, but I think it's going to depend on the volumes and how quickly the EV adoption happens in our country.
All right, sir. Just another thought from you on, how much longer do you see will it take for the country to make it more affordable when we think of buying an EV compared to an ICE engine vehicle?
Yeah, so at the moment, depending on the category of cars, roughly 40 to 60% higher is the cost compared with the ICE vehicle. For SUVs, about 40% higher, 45%. For hatch and sedan, it is about 55-60% higher. That's quite a lot. And it entirely depends on the battery cost, because battery is about 45-50% of the cost of EV. So really depends on how quickly the battery cost comes down, and that depends on two things. One is the raw material prices of the battery itself. In the last 2 years, there have been no reduction. Actually, there have been a big increase. Lithium, for example, has gone up substantially, 4 or 5 times the price just 2 years back. So one is that cost of the ingredient. Second is how much localization you can do. So you can have cells and you can make the battery packages done locally. So it really depends on how quickly you can localize. If we are able to do both, that is, find a technology which entails a lower cost of battery and have localization, we can bring down the battery cost. However, more important is not just the cost of acquisition, but also the TCO, the total cost of ownership, which I think is more in favor of EVs as we go along. So I think there also it depends. It's like it's dependent on a couple of major factors, including the movement of the raw materials and the level of localization.
And finally, so of course, how has your experience been here at this forum curated by ET Auto, which is the EV conclave? How's it different from the rest in the industry? What would you say are the highlights?
I think I've been attending the ET Auto, all of them actually, not all, maybe most of them, and I find really the one really differentiating factor about ET Auto is, one, it's very authentic and practical. So it's not that theoretical stuff, but the actual it's not just about the basics and fundamentals of cell chemistry and things like that, but also how vehicles would be retailed, what would be the dealer model, what it will be like to service an EV, what are the factors which can increase the penetration of EV. So I think it's authentic and very practical, and that makes it stand out from the other conclaves that we have.
Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you.